Hello, welcome to the channel where I have the new Porsche 911 GT3, the 992.2 generation as they call it. We'll have road and track driving impressions in a moment, but first, here are the technical details of the new car.
The GT3, as you'll probably know, is the more track-friendly version of the 911. Not as extreme as a GT3 RS though, so still road compliant. This time a GT3 with wings and a GT3 Touring, no wing, looks a bit more classy, are launching at the same time, and the Touring can be had with rear seats.
And of course it has this engine which revs to 9,000 revs, which is pretty bonkers. That's your 9,000 revs.
To meet latest emissions regulations, the 4-litre naturally aspirated flat-six engine has 2 additional catalytic converters, so 4 in total. This increases exhaust back pressure in a bad way, so there are new valve timings and their revised throttle bodies to compensate. The result is that power is the same 510 metric horsepower, 503 brake, as before at 8,500 RPM, and it still revs to 9,000 revs. But torque is down by 20 Newton meters, 15 pounds-foot to 332 pounds-feet, or 450 Newton meters. So that the car isn't slower to accelerate then, gear ratios have been dropped by 8% on both the 6-speed manual and optional 7-speed dual-clutch auto. Chief among the changes that you would feel are new bump stops in the suspension, which allow 25mm more linear suspension travel. The power steering software has been tweaked too. Considered a bit too light and nervy off straight ahead, it has been made to feel more linear, precise and a bit more stable, though there is still rear steer as standard. Overall, weight would be up by 20 kilos because of the new cats, plus the 911 has gained some weight naturally. It has things like beefier door bars than it used to, so lighter carpets and battery have been fitted, and you can spec lightweight packages. On the winged car, that pack is called the Vice-Arc package, but it doesn't include the wheels as standard. In the UK, the GT3 is priced from £157,300. Production is not strictly limited except by what suppliers can offer, so Porsche will probably make less than there are people who want to buy one.
The steering has got this kind of new tune to make it feel a bit more authentic, I think, than before. But the steering is a wee bit heavier than it was and a bit more sort of stable around straight ahead. Oh, this is good. Oh, this is amazingly good. It really is an engine that thrives on revs, but you can really turn in on the brakes. Oh my God, to feel it on turning. That is so nice. Carries mega mid-corner speed and it's got great balance on the way out. What a car. The other thing you notice about it is that these extra 25mm of suspension travel before it runs into the bump stops mean that it rides curbs with tremendous absorbance. Straight out of the box production car, is there anything that is as nice as this? Well, that was the kind of idea behind the car. Buy it, drive it to the circuit, drive it round the circuit. They're relatively kind on their consumables. Drive it home again once you've had a cup of tea and calmed down. Now that we've done the driving on track bit, go and do the driving on the road bit. Fairly mind-blowing out here. This road is quite smooth. I am in normal mode at the moment. What Porsche has done very well is put an assist button there, which is very easy from then to turn off the lane keep assist so it's not tugging at the wheel or whatever, or getting the speed limit wrong. You may note this is a manual. Porsche has done very well here. It has got the winged car with a PDK on the circuit, and it's given us the Touring to drive with a manual on the road, and it's a nice enough manual gearbox. It's got the short throw from the ST. I think that is part of the lightweight pack that this car has been fitted with. So it has got the lightest options you can have, including in the wheels and the brakes, which not only improve the unsprung mass to improve the ride, but that also improves the rotational, it reduces the rotational inertia, therefore you accelerate, decelerate more rapidly. These are still these figure-hugging seats with the little bit you can take out for a helmet if you want, but it's quite easy to go A into sport and then B into track, which puts the suspension into a much firmer setting. I say much firmer, slightly firmer setting, because Porsche selects its damper modes by engineers rather than marketing people, so there will be a difference between sport and track, but it is not as big as some manufacturers might put. They are both effective on the road. last time I drove a GT3, it was quite nervy is the wrong word, but it was quite reactive off of straight ahead. It felt a bit lighter, it felt less organic, slightly more artificial. Now it doesn't. Now it has beautiful steering, much closer to that of the ST. So the gearing, you don't notice how short the gearing is on a circuit, but you do notice it on the road. So 112-ish kph, what is that? Is that 70 miles an hour, I think? It was turning over at pretty much 3,000 RPM in sixth. Now that is quite short in a road car these days, and it does mean that actually at motorway speeds, conversations become a bit more shouty than they might otherwise be. But it needs to be shorter to overcome the slight deficit in torque from the last model. What that does mean is that I'm now in fourth gear at 90 kilometers an hour. I'm right in the sort of in the mix of the range. It's sort of just under 4,000 RPM. I can choose third, and I don't feel like I have to be in an artificially low gear to get acceleration out of corners and so on and so forth. You can drive perhaps a gear higher than you otherwise might do, and it means that you can enjoy it on a back road like this and be in third, fourth gear, maybe just the very top of second in hairpins and stuff, without feeling that you have to go much faster to be in the gear you feel like you want to be in, if that makes sense. It's enjoyable at sensible speeds, is what I'm saying. Also, it rides well. The effect that making those bump stops smaller has had on a circuit when you run over curbs is evident on the road as well. This rides really well, and in fact, if it wasn't for the slightly increased noise levels, you would say this was a perfectly refined daily sports car. The touring and the winged car, as they call it, they do something different, you know, willfully different. It does feel to me like you could have two GT3s in a way that some collectors do have lots of 911s. It almost feels like, yeah, you can have two GT3s, one for the road, one for the track. But there are few cars on sale today that do both of those things. If you just had this, you take it on circuit and have a riot. If you just had a winged car, you bring it on the road and also really enjoy it. There are a few cars that exist today where it is sort of one car to do it all quite as competently as this. You know, you almost need a lightweight sports car like a Caterham or an Ariel to have a car that is as good on the road and the circuit. And of course, this is a car with a roof, with a heater, with air conditioning, with a radio, with all of the things that you would want for daily comfort. It's another terrific GT3. It costs £150,000 before options in the UK, and you probably will spec quite a few of those, and it might not make much difference to the monthly payments if you buy them on finance. And they'll make fewer than there are people who want them, because that's what they do. So thank you for joining me. We're here at least every week on YouTube. We're also over at autocar.co.uk. I'll see you next time.